SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to the 2020 edition of the Safeway Open. I guess technically maybe 2021 season if you want to look at it that way. Obviously the first tournament of the new season, the super season, I guess is what they're calling it. 2020-2021 starts this week. If you are kind of new to PGA or join middle of the year, it really doesn't affect much on our end other than we get our first full field in a while since probably the Wyndham. But you're going to have a much weaker field this week. When I say weaker, just if you're looking at OWGR type rankings or something like that. FedEx Cup restarts over this week for the PGA Tour. Internally, our stuff is, I've had a lot of questions and probably some confusion thinking that we ended GC Cup and one and done with the Tour Championship. We did not. There's a lot of posts out there. You can go check Twitter. You can go to the website and look at the schedule if you want to confirm. But GC Cup and one and done are running through the Masters. So still plenty of weeks left in that. Kind of adjusted the schedule with the whole COVID break. Our new season will still start like it always does in January at the Sony Open. Good finish yesterday, obviously. Kind of it got a little tight. I mean, I think 3 might have been the closest that JT and the guys got, maybe 2. I was back and forth grilling out during some of it, but not kind of anticlimactic coming down, but a lot of positioning there and a lot of changes DraftKings wise. If you were kind of sweating, I was winning the $5. I was tied for first in the $5 for a lot of the afternoon. But there's like 2 holes where Berger doubled, Sungjae doubled after he started. He kind of climbed back into it, doubled, and it was like I had like 2 doubles and 4 bogeys all at the same time. It was crazy, and I was like, man, this just flipped on its head. But ironically, that's when I climbed up in some contests, but went back in the other. So it's kind of weird to watch the board up and down as those final 9 holes. And because there was only 30 guys, the finishing points meant a little more, especially not only round 4, but the full tourney. So as those guys were moving up and down, it was, getting down to crunch time. Had plenty of sweat, but, down on the week overall. Showdown was okay. Definitely much stronger college football. We'll get into that different podcast, but definitely had a better college football week, DFS wise and betting. But golf finished good betting. I haven't graded out everything yet. I'll get that done today. Busy day today all the way around. Hit Scheffler top 5 bet. Matchups did well. I think we swept on Saturday. Hadn't reviewed completely yesterday's, but overall, I think up on the week for PGA, and then with the football added in, they got lost the Thursday night bet, I believe, barely at the end. I had the under and the over went, but then swept Saturday, and then last night had BYU in a very easy win. So overall, pretty good week. Ready to kind of get into, and this week's just gonna be crazy. If you didn't listen to the pod yesterday, my member guest starts tomorrow as our practice round, and I'll be up there pretty much till very early Sunday morning, driving back home to get for the Audible Sunday morning live chat for NFL. A lot of my content will come out today, golf wise for sure. NFL still kind of streaming as we get more information and look through everything. I will put out some NFL stuff today, but try to keep the schedule there, but I'll be in and out over the next 3 or 4 days. Oh, do I need to restart? sorry about that. So, anyways, a lot to go on. Trying to get the green machine. We'll have the NFL and college football stuff added. I did a test with the college football kind of lineup builder. Saturday went well. That's going to be exciting. I think everybody will like that once we get those rolled out here in the next probably day or two, for sure, before the main slates on Saturday and Sunday. We'll slowly work in showdown stuff for football. That'll come in the next coming weeks. We just want to get the main slate stuff all worked out with the multiple positions and stuff like that. We did take down the football tools temporarily. We put back up the stuff that you guys could use if you want to go look at 2019 pace of play, all that kind of numbers, all that stuff that's up there. And then this week we'll be rolling out, kind of the newer stuff. And then once we have live data from 2020, obviously that'll help, with the tools update, and then continue to build upon, kind of overhaul that whole system as the weeks go on into football. Main focus for a while was just get the green machine rolling for football. That was one of the big focuses we worked on. And then now as we get live data from the new season, although the prior season can help more so in NFL than college football. College football has so much changeover player-wise and coaches, it makes it difficult to look at last year's stats and think this year. But, some spots, you'll see some similarity with the way the offenses run where there's not much change. NFL, a little bit more year to year stays the same. So you can definitely look at some of that statistics as we roll into Sunday. But then after week one completes, we'll have more stuff live and continue to build upon that. So if you have any questions on that, you can DM me anytime you want. With football, don't forget, if you want to get into the Super 7 or the GCFFL, now's the time to do it. Locks Wednesday. You'll see it on all over Twitter between all our handles going on this week. Don't forget to get in. And don't, message Thursday and be mad that you didn't get into one of them. There's plenty of spots open in the GCFFL. There's different leagues, different levels of buy-ins. You can go check it all out, contest.gupscorner.com, or click the contest link on our main page of gupscorner.com and check all those out. Super 7, you can go up to 3 max, so you can put 3 teams in it. Unlimited entries. As far as total, it's not capped. We're not doing the survivor pool this year, just with all the unknown and everything. It was better to run these two. Make sure you read the rules and all of the kind of COVID related stuff that could come up. All the rules explain how they're all handling that. Josh does a good job of doing that. So if you have questions after you read the rules, just let us know. As I mentioned, crazy schedule for me, so bear with me this week as we get through it. Next week we'll have full stats for week 1 NFL, a little bit more college football this week than last week, so that's also good. Some of the bigger conference stuff, Big 12, SEC, ACC will play this week. So rolling out the tools and getting that stuff rolling. It's kind of no preseason, all that. I think it just has, you get to this point and everybody's kind of antsy, and it's like, well, there's not a lot to really analyze or use tools right now, other than being able to do the lineup builder. Until we see some data and some information, see how get what's coming in, and then kind of start laying out the groundwork there. So next week we have the US Open, then we'll be full week into this NFL season, so it'll be much smoother next week and things are going. So we're looking forward to that. As always, Super Draft is our site sponsor for 2020. They're rolling out big stuff for NFL, probably unlikely to fill. So, kind of rake free almost in most cases, a good time to get in there, especially if you're dipping your toes into the NFL, DFS world. Much smaller pools, easier to compete, easier to win. You can use the code GUP. You get $10 on top of, if you put $10 in, you get a free $10. Right now, you can deposit up to $1,000 and get 50% match. They will drip it out slowly on your, on the match part, which is typical, especially that big of one. Sometimes, they don't. Sometimes just you get it and you play with it. This one, it'll, it's kind of like the rate free type deal. You put 1,000 in, you get 500. You got to play it through a little bit, before you can withdraw it all out. So you can't just like get the free match and then withdraw in this scenario, because they're going up so big. That's a big, that's pretty cool. I mean, 50% match up to 1,000 is nice. It's a great time to get in there. We will have content and coverage of Super Draft and strategy. D-Rock will handle that for us. And then, obviously PGA stuff. This week, they're not doing much. I mean, they're pretty much focused on the NFL. So we're going to follow that lead and worry about that. DK, decent pots for golf. I was interested to see how it would be with football. They're not horrible. They're definitely a step down. I'll be interested to see how they roll out next week, being a major. I assume they'll be back pretty decent with the major, but with the NFL competing right there, that's their big bread and butter. So we'll take it though. I like the contest. They're smaller, so that's nice. Competing wise, you don't have to go up against 100,000 entries. I think the $25 this week, it's only 200K up top, but there's only 38,000 entries to compete against. So that's nice. Right now, all this week, 25% off with football 25. If you're not currently a member, if you are currently a member, I said this in Slack yesterday, and you want to upgrade to full access, you want to get the Green Machine lineup builder for NFL, college football, golf. We'll slowly start having MLB, NBA down the road. You can, email us, support@gupscorner.com, DM me or JB, and we have loyalty discounts for you guys if you're already a current member and you want to upgrade to full access site. All right, now since we're all through, we'll wrap up last week with the Listener League winner and then head into the Safeway Open. Listener League is up for NFL and Safeway Open. Smaller entries this week, just to this is the first one for NFL, so we're just testing it there. I think it was 200 or 250 entries. Still at 3 max, $7.50 on both. Last week's winner, Otis the Bull, 538.5 points. DJ, Scheffler, X, Shoffley, Hatton, Palmer, and Cam Smith. Palmer moved a lot of people up the board yesterday, kind of a 3 under. I think it got it back to even. And I think Palmer was paired a lot with DJ in some of the lineups I saw. I did see it was kind of a mixed bag. I look at some of the bigger contests and DJ was in some of the winning lineups. I know most people said that couldn't happen. I did mention that many times that he could be optimal this week. I think the 1 year sample of JT falling back and Rory going crazy mixed in with a Reeve who got a hole in one and another Eagle that kind of, even though he didn't finish high, he had scoring in DK. I think now we have 2 years, you can kind of see there is a way to get there depending on how the rest of the field goes. I think in the $25 he wasn't on the main one. The $5 he was. So it was just back. I mean, there was a ways to get there both. I don't think next year we could say there's a guaranteed way how to attack this if they keep the salary and all that same. Hope maybe they'll do the captain as the main feature, which will definitely differentiate, your lineups and stuff. But overall, it was that's a solid lineup. Palmer really helped him on Sunday. Smith had a bad Monday. I'm sorry. Smith had a bad Sunday. I think a little better yesterday. And obviously, Scotty flew up the board, got us the top 5 bets. So that was nice. DJ finished pretty good, strong. And Shoffley, played well. I think he was the low raw score of the week. So he likes that course. I don't really think, I know it was a no cut event. I just think he likes the course. So maybe it's more of the courses that he's playing. I don't really think the no cut had anything to do with it. He's played that thing well. He's won it back in 2017. This week, though, we head to Silverado Country Club, the North Course in Napa, California. It is a par 72. There's 4 par 5s, POA greens. Obviously, Kenny Kim does a full write-up on it on the site. He talks about it on his pod. If you want to go listen to all the in-depth of it, I'm just going to hit on the things that I'm looking for this week. It's been hot, dry, and windy out there. You've seen the fires. I don't know how close they are to Napa per se, but it's hot today. I think it's almost 100. It's cool a little bit after today, but it's still going to be in the 80s out there. Not a drop of rain at all in the forecast. Winds 10 to 15 miles, so not terrible. Maybe some gust. Pretty typical on the winds out there at this time of the year. I have the cut at -3. We've been bumping the cut line up when we have these big fields and you only got T65 and ties make it. Winning score, I think it's going to play a little harder than it has, just barely. It's pretty much been in that 15 to 18 range, wins it. I have the winning score at 16 under this week. I think the greens are going to be kind of hard to hold. I'm sure it's going to play firm and fast, which gives kind of the shorter guys off the tee a little leverage because ball roll out, stuff like that. You look at who's won here; it's a mixed bag. Champ, Tway, Steele, back to back. Griot, Sangmu Bay, Jimmy Walker. Runner-ups have been Hadwin, Moore, Snedeker, Finau, Kazire, Nah, Bowditch, a little Bowditch shout out, VJ, Kokrak. Longer off the tee seems to definitely have an advantage to an extent, but it doesn't mean you have to be it's just, mixed bag of deal. Putting doesn't seem to weigh as much this week when you look at a percentage of the total than normal. Around the greens definitely comes into play this week. I'm looking at ball striking, strokes gained irons, which is our blend of approach and around the green, par 5 scoring. That you have to score on these par 5s here to compete. They're 4 of the easiest holes on the course anyway, so you really got to take advantage of them. Opportunity gain inside 18 foot. Overall tee to green gain I'm looking at, which I rarely pull that in because it's always there, but I definitely am looking at that in general just because the putting, the guys that won, Griot's won here, so any tournament he's won, you can tell the putting's not as high of a deal. I did put POA on my rankings just to take a look. POA putting on my rankings, just more as a visual than the actual weight, because I just want to see who's done well on POA, but I'm not weighing putting real strong this week. A lot of returning players this week. Only 17 guys haven't played this course who's in it right now. They'll probably add the qualifiers and stuff today. In the last 4 years. So a lot of guys have at least played it once in the last 4 years. Many have played it multiple times. I see guys that have finished top 5 and missed the cuts. I don't see like a lot of, Stills obviously won it, but then he won one, then finished 53rd and 60th. So there's, a lot of missed cuts and 40th, 20th missed cuts. So I'm not, course history, course fit doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do well. And if they have done bad, doesn't mean they can't do good, at least just looking at the history. So I'm not as high on the course history type stuff this week. The salary ranges in the 10K, we have 4 guys, 9K, we have 10 guys, 8K, we have 9 guys, 7K, 27 guys, and 6K, 95 guys right now. I imagine that'll go up with some of the qualifiers. I think there's 4 this week that get in, Monday qualifier type deal. So, a vast majority of the field is 7,900 or less. So really going to be interesting where we go up top this week. Overall strategy, I think it's a week, and just by seeing some of the results and who's won, longer shots at times, definitely more of an MME style week for me than trying to lock in one particular lineup. Doesn't mean I won't do a single entry. I always will, because I build my GC Cup anyways. I hadn't looked to see if they're doing that $200 single entry has been really nice, structure and stuff. So I enjoy playing it. But for the most part, I would recommend, doing the 20 max, even if you're doing the, quarter or, a dollar or whatever, just because there's so much unknown in these guys. The sticker shock you got to get over, because you're going to see guys, you're like, man, he's, Reeves 9,600 or, Griot 9,700. Man, I can't pay that. Well, it's all relative to the field, so don't get too caught up into that. But it does bring into play that there's not a lot of difference sometimes in the 9K this week, 8K this week, or the 6 compared to the 7 type of stuff. There's, a lot of, lower ranked golfers in the world, definitely in the 6K. So, but there are some guys there that I certainly will take stabs on this week, and I'll probably spread out my pool a little bit more than a typical week to get, more, I don't want to be spread too thin. I'm definitely going to still keep the player pool intact, but more bullets, more flyer type of deal. Because we just really don't know. A lot of these guys haven't played in the last at least 2-3 weeks. Some made it to maybe the first round of the FedEx, or maybe second, and they've had 2 weeks off. Some didn't make it at all, so they haven't played any. So are they going to be shaking off rust? Who knows? There's a lot of that to factor in as well. If you're new to the pod, we do the Dirty Dozen, 3 picks and 3 different price ranges. And the last tier is 3 picks, a flop, a fade, and a sleeper. And then I'm trying to nail in, instead of just having the round table wrap up like I normally do and just list off a bunch of names, I'm going to have my last 4 out, I'll call it. So 4 guys that almost fit into the ranges up top, but didn't quite. So I still like them. Gut feel play. So guys that I just think are going to do good this week. Again, they obviously didn't fit into the top 12 up there. Are my 12 selections in the Dirty Dozen. And then some potential sleeper GPP flyers that I like normally on a Monday morning, but this is Tuesday. So we'll get to that. And then we'll look at some betting, one and done, and get out of here. I know a lot of people are anxious to get into football and stuff like that, but we still got some good prizes this week on golf. So we're going to take our time and hopefully have an advantage over the field this week when there's a lot of names you got to dig through that most people, especially if they're new to the PGA DFS, aren't as familiar with. We'll kick it off with the first tier, 9K or above. My number one ranked person in the field this week. I think this is the first time he's ever been number one for me, and it's HV3. I like him. He's third in stats, second in recent form, 12th in course fit. My biggest worry is I can see him being super chalky, but that hasn't stopped Chalky from doing well. When we've had Webb was chalky in one, Bryson was chalky in one. The difference with a lot of these guys, and any of them I list, Siwoo still, like they're not quite that elite of a talent. So, the vulnerability is probably more. So it is a week where I'll probably try to pivot off some chalk. And maybe Harold's just one. I eat that chalk and I got to go elsewhere, and fade some chalk in the middle lower range. But he likes to place. He's got a 15th, a 14th, a 17th, a 59th was his worst in the last 4 years. He missed the cut at the Northern Trust and then had a 7th at the Wyndham. Didn't make it to the BMW. So he's had a couple weeks to kind of relax. He was playing a lot too, heading up to that. So it's probably good that he's got rest. Come in here, get firing. At a course he's done well. He's played it, at least the last 4 years straight. So I like Harold this week. Next is EVR. He has not played this course, at least in the last 4 years. Probably has never played it. He's 8th in my stats, 15th in my recent form. Good ball striker. More on the Euro, people are familiar, but he's coming over, playing more here. He's 8 tee to green for me this week, $9,400. It'll be tough to see how chalky he gets. Redmond's right there below him. Reevy could be talked up some. We'll get to Spieth in a little bit. Strillman's there. I can make a case of fading the entire 10K this week, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I like EVR. Price is good, lets you get a good balance build. And the guy I just mentioned, my third guy in this range is Redmond. 12th in stats. He is 14th overall in my model, 24th recent form, had a 3rd at the Wyndham. He did miss the cut here last year. He doesn't putt well in general. So, he kind of fit in that. He's coming along. He is more consistent now than he was, but he will pop off a three putt out of nowhere. But, in general, he's the kind of guy I could see doing well here and fits similar to some of the prior winners. He's 17th tee to green, 6th in ball striking in my model, 32nd in iron play, approach around the green type stuff. So I like all that. 9,200 maybe scares some people off because people have been used to getting them a little cheaper. But, this is a tournament I think he could get his first win at. So I definitely like Redmond, 9,200. Next range is 7,600 to 8,900. First up is Cameron Davis. Been on him a lot, played him a lot. He's coming in great form. 12th at the PGA, 15th at the Wyndham, 29th at the Northern Trust. Didn't make it to the BMW, but finished strong there in the season. He did get 17th here 2 years ago. He missed the cut last year. It's kind of one of those results I was talking about. You can do really well or miss the cut. He's 5th in my stat model, 13th in recent form, $8,900. I could see him being super chalky. Talked up just the way he's, coming in form. So, maybe I like Davis and Varner, but maybe I don't play them together. We'll kind of have to see how ownership shakes out once we get, a little bit. It's crazy because it's already Tuesday and you're thinking you still got time, but, less than 48 hours we're going to be going. They are on the West Coast, so that's one positive. A little bit later start on Thursday morning. Second one, and another guy that's kind of been popular in the community, Will Gordon. $8,200. I think that's a good price for him, probably cheaper than what I would think in this field. 9th in stats, 4th in recent form. He's 8th overall for me. He had a 27th at the Wyndham. He did miss the cut at the PGA. We know how difficult the PGA played, though. Across the board, he's pretty solid on all the main stats I'm looking at. The worst he is 45th ranked. He's 14th in ball striking, 13th in par 5, 10th in tee to green, 37th in the putting. So, like some POA, potentially another kind of chalky guy, talked up. So the ownership is going to matter, but can't fade all of these guys. So there's going to be times to be creative in the construction this week. Last, a guy I've talked about, many times leading up to kind of even before the break. I think, his talent ceiling is higher than most of these guys here. It's Bud Colley at 8,600. I think the price may keep some people off of him, which will be good. He's got a pretty good history here: 50th, 7th, 46th, 44th, which doesn't sound too great, but he's got a top 10. He's always made the cut. Now we're going to need more than making the cut out of an $8,600 guy, but I do like that he's done well here in familiar. 15th at the Wyndham as well. He missed the cut at the Northern Trust, but finished the season pretty good. Worry a little bit about his par 5 scoring, at least in the model I'm looking at. He's like 112th, but tee to green, he's 13th, iron 6, ball striking 47th. He's kind of beyond that borderline, kind of like a gut play. Nothing looks just too crazy good, but I think he may be a guy in the 8K range where I think there's going to be a lot of people go to. He could be a low-owned guy to kind of differentiate some of those lineups we're building. Third tier, 7,500 or less. Wes Bryan starts there. I talked about him the other day. I think he's kind of turned the tide on his horrific game. It was on the betting pod. So yesterday, I like him at 100-1, $7,100. I like that as well. He actually comes in number 1 on my stat model. So his recent play has been pretty good at what I'm looking at. He's literally top 6 in 5 of the 6 categories, and he's average, a little worse than average on putting. History here hasn't been great, so it worries me a little bit. But at the price tag, all we need is a cut made this week from him, and then everything else will just be gravy. 4th in ball striking, 2nd in iron, 2nd in par 5, 1st in opportunity gain, scoring opportunity gains inside 18 feet, and 6th tee to green. Had a 31st at the Wyndham. So I really like him a lot this week. I'm high on Wes Bryan. Wesley Bryan. And then next, Cheslin Hadley, $7,000, 80-1 in the betting market. Pretty good. He's one of those mixed bag here, but a third, a 23rd, and a missed cut in between those two. So I like the high finishes there. 7,000 definitely has upsides. Ceiling is high there. Missed a cut at the PGA, 51st at the Wyndham. Stat model, he's 36 for me. Again, $7,000. All we need is a cut made by Hadley, and he's right there. Kind of a roller coaster at times. Definitely have played him a lot where, he seems he can start off really bad or, get fire and be first on leader. So risk reward there, but, at that price, it's definitely worth it. Cameron Tringali, $7,500 is my third pick in this range, right at the number. Miscut 4 years ago, and then he's made the cut the last 3 years, 43rd, 46th, 44th. Had a third at the PGA, a 29th at the Northern Trust, so definitely like the form coming in. Pretty solid across the board in stats. He's 18th overall in my stat model and 21st overall in the complete model. So at that price, a lot of upside there. Feel good that he can make the cut. Need a little bit more than that at 7,500, but pretty good history here making the cut. So I definitely like him. 4th tier, it's a flop, a fade, and a sleeper. The flop is someone I just don't see returning their value this week. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have to be a certain price range. It's just a guy I think there'll be trouble to get to where his price is putting him at. Fade is someone I'm fading. It could be because of ownership, course history, recent form, whatever. And then sleeper is my favorite play, 6,900 or less. My flop this week is, kind of hurts me to say this because I play him quite a bit, like him, have met him in person. Joel Damon. 9,500 for me seems steep for him. He's 36th in my model, so not horrible, but again, 9,500, you're in that range of talking about, probably need a top 10, top 15 for sure, but a top 10 to return that value. He's 123rd in the field in par 5 scoring. His record here has not been great. Last 3 years, a miscut of 46th and a miscut. He missed the cut at the Northern Trust, but he did finish 20th at the BMW, which is solid. So he's had a couple weeks off. I just, I'm hoping he actually is pretty part of it is because I like HV3 and like Cameron Davis, EVR, some of these guys I think maybe talked up. I think, he'd probably be pretty popular in the market. And so that's one of the stands. I hope he's kind of chalky because I can just fade it, give me some leverage on the field and play the other guys that I think are chalky. Fade for me, and it's not really because I don't think he'll play well, but the price makes it. He's got a top 5, and it's lefty. He actually has pretty good history here. Last 4 years, an 8th, a 3rd, a 17th, and then a missed cut. So, like I said, common theme of doing great here and missing the cut. This 10-6, he's just got to, Siwoo's the only one higher than him. And if I was going to play one of those two on a potential top 5, needing them to get inside the top 5, I like Siwoo better, who's number 2 in my stat model, number 1 in my recent form. I know I haven't mentioned him yet, but I think Phil's the easier fade at that price at 10-6. So I think he'll do well and probably make the cut and, maybe a top 20 in there. I just don't see, I think the probability of him returning that price is very low. And so Phil's my fade of the week this week. My sleeper is, and I've been on him quite a few times already, Chris Baker, Euro guy, $6,400, really cheap, allows you to get flexible in your lineups. Although I think this week it'll be easier to build as far as, you don't have to pay up for some of these guys. So, but if you want to get like maybe 3 9K guys and then a Baker and then a couple other guys, something like that to be creative. 26 in my stat model, 3rd in my recent form. So he's 41st at the PGA, which was tough. 20th at the Wyndham, easier scoring place. So it shows he's got a little, versatility in his game. He did miss the cut here last year, but I just like where he's coming in at overall. He's nothing pops, like tremendous, but at 6,400, all we need is a made cut out of there. And he's my top ranked currently 64 or 6,000 guy in the model. There's a couple other guys I do like as well. Power, Piercy's a guy that I like. He finished 7th here last year, but my favorite and the sleeper for me, 6,900 or less is Chris Baker this week. Last 4 out. Still, I'm interested to see where people go with Brennan this week. $10,000, so high priced. He had a 44th finish at the Northern Trust, a 33rd at the BMW. Obviously, he's won here back to back, and then a 60th and a 53rd. The price, I think, will keep people completely off of him. Potentially, I'm obviously the course history is great, so maybe people just go, because again, at 10,000, he's one of those guys who got a top 10 for sure, possibly even top 5. But if he's low owned, and that's why I just bumped him down as kind of that last 4 out, because I'm not going to play a chalky still, but if he just kind of gets overlooked in this whole mess, I like still at 10,000. Kyle Stanley at 7,300 is my second one of the last 4 out. 12th in my overall model. Mixed bag of results here, but if you look at all of it, he's 5th in my course fit ranking. Missed the cut at the Wyndham, but a 32nd at the PGA. Definitely putter would have to, improve is probably the biggest concern here. Stats are just average with the field, but $7,300. He's a guy that was right on the fringe for me. Shane Lowry is the next one, 10-2. Similar to Steele, I want to see how these. I think my assumption, I haven't listened to any golf podcasts yet. I don't even know how many are out yet with the holiday yesterday, is I think I can see a kind of group thing going towards fade everybody in the 10K this week, and rightfully so. I mean, I could go without playing Siwoo, Steele, Lowry, and Mickelson. So these are guys that I like, Lowry and Steele, if I'm going to get that 8 to 12, maybe 13% ownership. 23rd at the Wyndham. He missed the cut at the Northern Trust. He's 15th in my stat model, 17th in the field in par 5 DK scoring. Recent form, 18th overall. So I like these guys. Definitely going to depend on where I see ownership. And then the last one for me, and it'd be interesting to see where he comes in at in the industry, is Jordan Spieth. He's actually 13th in my stat model, which is kind of more recent form type of deal. Form has not been tremendous, just made cuts, barely made cuts, hung around on the weekend, seems to always have one good round a week. That kind of keeps him in it. He finished basically last of the guys that made the cut at the Wyndham, 72nd, and then he missed the cut at the Northern Trust. just the things I'm looking at, like he's showing signs of life. And 9,800, my assumption is most people are going to kind of be off of him at that price just because people want to see it first. But as far as the field strength and everything else, if he can't top 10 here, where is he going to? When's it going to all click? And maybe this is a week, so we tried to be a week early on him. So Speed's a guy that's on my radar this week. Kind of gut feel plays this week. I got 4 of those as well. Keegan, $8,800, just average across the board on my rankings. Nothing sticks out. I did finish 29th at the Northern Trust. Obviously struggled with the putting. So being a course that doesn't emphasize that as much, kind of like him. Norlander, probably a little chalky popular in the industry this week. We'll see. Do worry about his par 5 scoring, but outside of that, the rest of his numbers are great. So 27th in the stat model, had a 23rd at the PGA, a 59th at the Wyndham, miscut at the Northern Trust. He missed the cut here last year. So maybe a little overlooked. I'm not sure. I think the 8K is going to be a popular range this week, but he's a guy that kind of I feel is due. I'm not due, but he's getting close. I like his game in general. Tyler Duncan, another guy kind of been playing a lot of. Great, made the cut all 3 times he's played here, a 5th, a 69th, a 56th. He's $8,400, kind of high price for him. So maybe that, scares some people away. We know his putting can struggle at times, but again, that's kind of a theme I'm going with, is not as emphasized this week. Pretty good recent form coming in, a 13th, a 29th, and a 48th all the way through the BMW. Finished strong to the year. I like that. So I like those guys that played a lot, in form, can pick their game up. And he can get high. He can get a lot of birdies. He just gets those big numbers as well. So if he can limit those, I think that's important this week. 35th in my overall stat model this week as well. So Duncan's a kind of a gut play. And then my last gut play, Nick Watney, $6,800. Mixed bag results here. 35th, miscut, 10th last year. So I like that. 12th at the PGA. Above average putting, 16th in my stat model overall. He's 8th in the strokes gained iron, so approach around the green. 31st tee to green. So in that 30-40 range in almost every stat. So I really like that, especially a $6,800 guy where all we need is to make a cut. Last kind of segment before we head to betting, potential sleeper GPP flyers. I think Grayson Murray's comes to mind. Ventura, I talked about him on the betting pod. I like him in general. He's kind of overshadowed by Hovland and Wolf, but he's a high ceiling type guy. I think he'll be really good on the tour for a long time to come. Like his form coming in. Stats are mixed bag results, but limited as well. It's just he didn't have as much plays. He played here last year though, made the cut, finished 62nd. So another deal I like, $7,000. Ben Martin, a guy we played, $6,700. Had a 17th here and a miscut. 24th in my stat model. Form's been okay coming in, a miscut in the 59th. But that price tag guy, just a flyer type deal. Chase Seifert, not gonna, knock anybody's socks off when you look at his stats right now. That's just kind of a gut play, but I don't think he's gonna be high owned. And I like him this week. Cheap guy, flyer, 5%er type guy. And then probably a guy some people will mention just because of, he's huge coming out of college, high upside. He's 6,300. I think it's Akshay Bhatia. I've played him already as a flyer. He's 20th in my stat model, very limited number, but it's encouraging. He did play here last year and missed the cut, but at that price, you could have. I don't think he'll be higher than 2 or 3% owned. So just some flyers there. So instead of just listing out a whole bunch of roundtable guys, I wanted to at least break it into quick segments, talk about them, and kind of define that a little bit better. So obviously I'll have full rankings and updated stuff out, later on today and tomorrow. Most of my golf stuff will be out probably late tonight or early in the morning. And then I'll just update throughout the day when I have time. Jump in Slack if you have questions. Just put them in the live chat questions in Slack, and I'll get them answered as I have time throughout the day, because I'll probably actually put final thoughts out no later than tomorrow morning. And then if anything crazy happens, we'll adjust from there. Betting segment brought to you by Monkey Knife Fight. Big week for them with football, coming out. We'll start to have some. I think I'll probably incorporate some plays on there for football. go to gupscorner.com/affiliates, click on the link. They'll match your 100% match on your first deposit up to $50. Once you put it into play, it's yours. It's kind of a DFS betting type of angle. So it's us versus them instead of us versus us. So I like their model. Gotten to know some of the guys over there. We did the one free roll. Didn't run out quite as smoothly as I wanted. So we keep missing each other. They just acquired Fantasy Draft, I think, also. So they're pretty busy, but working on a new system there to get another free roll going, maybe for US Open next week. But if not, definitely do some football stuff, covering favorite plays, looking at the prop type deals that they have. So it's a cool site. Everybody that's been on it so far really likes that, more of that betting prop type angles, and we can utilize our DFS stuff because some of it's like, fantasy points today, over under 23.5, and you pick 2 or 3 guys that they have listed and you go over under on each of them. So we can incorporate betting / DFS stuff, but it's, it's us first the book, quote unquote, kind of like betting is. So go check that out today. Helps us out a lot when you guys sign up and play for that. Betting strategy this week, just kind of off the cusp. Snap reaction to the kind of first look. HV3 28 is probably the lowest I'd go. I don't think I'm going to go that low this week, but he's the lowest I would go on the board. Davis at 40-1, Wesley Bryan 100-1, Will Gordon 66-1, Doc Redman 33-1, EVR 33-1, Baker 150-1, Collie 50-1, Hadley 80-1, Norlander 66-1. Those are kind of like the 10 that just those are all in the mix to potentially be on my final card. Probably in the mid range this week, not overly extended on this tournament. A lot going on in general, but number of guys could win this. So I'll probably try to stay in that 33 to 66 type of range with a couple flyers in there. I mentioned one and done, and then Speed's a guy that, man, this type of field, to ever think you'd get a 25-1 number on him is kind of crazy. And so if I could potentially see myself dropping to him. I said HV3 be the lowest, but that would be the only deal is that, in this type of field to get that number on him with the upside in the ceiling. But, knowing him, you could wait and get a better number after round 1. Let's say some guy, shoots lights out day 1, he's 6 under, and Spieth's like -1 or -2. So playing decent, but back, you may get a better number. So he's a guy you could add afterwards as well. 2 weeks left in segment 3 of the one and done. So this week and then the US Open. I've actually done well in the 3rd segment. I was horrendous the first 2 segments, and pretty early in the 2nd segment, I just kind of saved all the guns for the 3rd and 4th segment, big boys. So, and luckily, for the most part, I placed them where I wanted to. The 1 week where I had Rory and then DJ's my backup when DJ won, it kind of hurt me. But I'm 33rd in the segment. I've climbed to 566th overall, which doesn't sound great, but I was like 2,300 or something before the segment began. So I've jumped in a hurry. I'm 83rd in the majors WGC segment as well. So I'm still alive. I like to try to win this segment. So need to nail this week and try to jump up there. My kind of strong plays this week, still HV3, Cameron Davis, Doc Redman. It's kind of the same deal when you're looking at betting and all that, but those are guys I think that could win. If a guy that you want to think that could win that maybe be lower owned, maybe like a Garcia, hadn't even mentioned his name, $9,900. I don't mind him this week. He just kind of, I don't know where I'm at there with him. Maybe you guys have already used him, and so that's another deal. Maybe if a complete fade of everything and just pick him one and done. But I have a feeling he'll probably be popular this week just by namesake. Siwoo Kim is playing great. Again, probably will be used, but those are just some of the names out there. If you're going for a skin, because maybe you're out of this segment and you're saving guys, I think Baker could be good. Wesley Bryan could be good. Maybe Will Gordon, something like that. A Collie. I don't really see many people going to a Collie. Hadley, Tringali. I mean, those kind of guys. I don't see a lot of people running to check their name. Bryce Garnett. It's a guy that's kind of right there average on everything, but pretty decent history here. He's got a 17th and a 23rd. So, guys like that, when you're really trying to get the skin that has that upside, you got to be risky. You're only trying to be the solo guy that week. So if you're doing that, that's probably the route I'd go this week. As I mentioned, no E9 this week. We'll be back next week with Kenny Kim. He'll join me for the U.S. Open E9, which will be electric and fire. We'll be coming off the first full weekend of football as well. So next week's gonna be awesome. But I won't be doing a live E9 just with the situation and everything. I'll be in the Slack tomorrow answering questions, or if you have them now, you go ahead and put them up there and I'll answer them as I get through the content and prep work today. Great holiday weekend for me. Spend time with family, grilling out, enjoyed having football back. I think everybody's antsy, but it's kind of like, is it really here type feeling? Because we just hadn't seen any preseason, for NFL. I think getting college back a little bit, this weekend, all right, football's here. Let's get going on it. There's nothing better than, watching some football. Be interesting to kind of see how week one goes, since we hadn't seen these guys at all. Very little of them. We're relying upon beat writers and stories and, posts and depth charts and trying to figure this thing out and put the pieces together from the DFS side and, fantasy, season long type stuff. But a lot of people are doing drafts right now, best ball, stuff like that. So going to be a fun year. Hope everybody stays safe. And we get through the whole season, virtually with no big hiccups. Things are going to happen. People are going to test positive. People are going to test positive on a Saturday. He's going to be a starter and it's going to hurt. Probably almost all of us will probably feel some of that this year. It's a different season in general. So just stay patient and stay the course. Appreciate everybody's help. We had a lot of new members join last week. Really excited for football. Bobby killed the college football write-up. We had all kinds of green screens on it Saturday. That's going to be stronger, this week with a lot more to cover. And then we start rolling out all of our NFL stuff. I'll start today rolling out some stuff with rankings and stuff like that. So any feedback you guys got, let me know. If not, I will be in touch over the next 4 or 5 days. I'll update you how our tournament's going as well. Good luck to everybody this week. I will see you Sunday morning live for the Audible. So that'll be kind of the key for the premium members, where, we take everything that's happened, in 3 or 4 days and kind of isolate our plays and get them locked in. Just like E9 will be, but I'm moving it to Sunday morning because I think it'll be better for us and, more impactful than trying to squeeze it in on Saturday sometime. Appreciate you guys. Have a blessed week. We'll see you Sunday morning. Thanks.
SmashFactor.